Elliot's heart thudded louder than the string quartet as he stood alone at the edge of the dance floor, clutching a glass of champagne he hadn't touched. The Vermont barn glowed with fairy lights, and laughter swirled around him, but he felt like a ghost at this wedding. Seen by no one, known by even fewer. He was the only gay man here, or so he thought, until he caught the groom's gaze from across the room, a look that held a secret sharp enough to cut through the festive haze. Elliot Harper, 28, had driven 6 hours from Boston to this remote corner of Vermont for his college friend Clara's wedding. He hadn't wanted to come. Crowds made him jittery, and weddings, with their parade of heteronormative bliss, always left him feeling like an outsider. But Clara had insisted, her voice bright over the phone. "Elliot, you're my rock. I need you there." So here he was, in a navy suit that felt too tight, surrounded by strangers in a barn that smelled of cedar and nostalgia. The groom, Gabriel Ortiz, was a mystery, early 30s, with dark curls and a smile that could disarm a room. He moved through the crowd with effortless charm. Clara had met him in Seattle, where they both worked in tech, and their whirlwind romance had culminated in this picture-perfect wedding. Elliot had only met Gabriel twice before, both times fleeting, but there was something about the man's quiet intensity that stuck with him, a flicker in his eyes, like he was holding something back. As the toasts began, Elliot slipped outside to the balcony, needing air. The October evening was crisp, the hills painted in shades of amber and crimson. He leaned against the railing, staring at the stars, when he heard footsteps. Gabriel stood there, tie loosened, his face softened by the moonlight. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, his voice low, almost hesitant. Elliot shrugged, his pulse quickening. "Not much for crowds either, huh?" Gabriel chuckled, stepping closer. "Not tonight. Too much everything." Their shoulders brushed as Gabriel leaned against the railing, and Elliot felt a jolt, like static electricity. They stood in silence, the music from the barn fading into the background. Then Gabriel turned, his eyes searching Elliot's face. "You ever feel like you're wearing a mask, even when everyone's celebrating?" The question hit Elliot like a punch. He'd spent years perfecting his own mask, smiling through family dinners where his aunts asked why he was still single, dodging questions about his lifestyle from coworkers. But something in Gabriel's tone made him pause. "All the time," Elliot admitted, "especially at places like this." Gabriel's gaze lingered, and for a moment, Elliot thought he saw something crack in the groom's polished exterior. A raw, unguarded flicker. Then Gabriel looked away, his jaw tight. "Clara's lucky to have you," he said almost too quickly. "She talks about you like your family." Elliot forced a smile. "Yeah, well, she's the only one who gets me." He wanted to ask more, to probe the weight behind Gabriel's words, but the moment passed. Gabriel excused himself, disappearing back into the barn, leaving Elliot alone with a racing heart and a question he couldn't shake. What was that? The reception carried on, but Elliot couldn't focus. He watched Gabriel dance with Clara, his hands steady on her waist, her laughter bright. They looked perfect, the kind of couple you'd see in a magazine. Yet every time Gabriel's eyes met Elliot's across the room, there was that same unspoken intensity, like a current pulling them together. By the time the cake was cut, Elliot was dizzy with it, not from the champagne, but from the weight of something he couldn't name. Later, as guests began to leave, Elliot volunteered to help clean up, needing a distraction. He was stacking chairs when he found Gabriel in the barn's loft, sorting through a pile of forgotten decorations. The groom's sleeves were rolled up, his tie gone, and the sight of him, disheveled, human, made Elliot's breath catch. "You don't have to do this," Elliot said, climbing the ladder. "You're the groom. Go enjoy your night." Gabriel laughed, but it was hollow. "I needed a break. Clara's with her cousins, planning some after-party. I just needed a second. He sat on a bale of hay, running a hand through his curls. You're good at this, aren't you? Being there for people. Elliot sat beside him, their knees almost touching. I try. Doesn't always work. He hesitated, then added, You seem like you're carrying something heavy. Want to share the load? Gabriel's eyes snapped to his, and for a moment, Elliot thought he'd crossed a line. But then Gabriel leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. You ever love someone so much it hurts, but you're not sure if it's enough? Elliot's throat tightened. He thought of his own past. A string of fleeting relationships, the ache of wanting more than he was allowed to have. Yeah, he said softly. I know that feeling. Gabriel's hand brushed against Elliot's, and neither pulled away. The loft was quiet, the world below them forgotten. Then Gabriel spoke, his voice raw. I'm not who everyone thinks I am, Elliot, and I don't know how much longer I can keep pretending. Elliot's heart stopped. Before he could respond, Clara's voice echoed from below, calling for Gabriel. The groom stood, his face a mask again, and descended the ladder without another word. Elliot sat there, stunned, the weight of Gabriel's confession sinking in. This wasn't just a moment. This was the beginning of something dangerous, something that could unravel everything. The morning after the wedding, Elliot woke with Gabriel's words echoing in his mind. I'm not who everyone thinks I am. He lay in his Airbnb bed, staring at the ceiling, the memory of Gabriel's touch, brief, electric, burning in his chest. He should leave Vermont, drive back to Boston, and forget this ever happened. But something pulled him to stay, to find out what lay beneath the groom's confession. Elliot found Gabriel at a nearby trailhead, alone, tossing stones into a stream. The forest was quiet, the air heavy with mist. Gabriel looked different in the morning light. Less polished, more human, his flannel shirt untucked, his eyes tired. Couldn't sleep either? Gabriel asked, not looking up. Elliot sat on a log beside him, his heart racing. Not after last night. You dropped a bomb and walked away, Gabriel. What did you mean? Gabriel tossed another stone, watching it skip across the water. I shouldn't have said anything. You're Clara's friend. This isn't fair to you. Fair. Elliot's voice sharpened. You don't get to say something like that and then shut me out. I've been hiding who I am my whole life. I know what it feels like to carry a secret. So talk to me. Gabriel's shoulders slumped, and he finally met Elliot's gaze. I'm gay, Elliot, he said, the words barely audible. I've known since I was a kid, but I buried it. My family, my career, they don't leave room for that truth. Clara doesn't know. Elliot's breath caught. The weight of Gabriel's admission settled between them, heavy as the mist around them. You're marrying her, he said, not accusing, just stating the fact. You love her. I do, Gabriel said, his voice cracking. She's everything, kind, brilliant, my best friend. But I'm not in love with her. Not the way she deserves. He rubbed his face, his hands trembling. I thought I could make it work, that I could be the man everyone expects. But then I saw you last night, and it's like I couldn't breathe. Elliot's heart pounded. He wanted to reach out, to close the distance between them, but he held back. Why me? He asked. Why now? Gabriel's eyes softened. Because you see me. Not the groom, not the tech bro, not the perfect son. You see me. He paused, then added, and I see you too. The way you carry yourself like you're always bracing for a fight. I know that feeling. Elliot swallowed hard. He'd spent years building walls, deflecting questions, hiding his heart. But Gabriel's words cracked something open, and for the first time in years, he felt exposed. This is dangerous, he said. For both of us. I know, Gabriel whispered, but I can't keep pretending. Not with you here. They sat in silence, the stream's soft ripple the only sound. Elliot's mind raced. Clara, his best friend, was downstairs at the inn, planning her honeymoon. Gabriel was her husband now, or would be in the eyes of everyone else. Yet here they were, two men on the edge of something forbidden, something that could destroy everything. Elliot stood, needing to move. "What do you want, Gabriel? You can't just say this and expect me to know what to do." Gabriel stood too, stepping closer. "I don't know what I want. I just know I can't stop thinking about you. About what it would feel like to be honest, just once." Their faces were inches apart now, the air between them electric. Elliot's hand twitched, wanting to touch Gabriel's cheek, to feel the warmth of his skin. But before he could, a shout broke the silence. Clara, calling from the trailhead. "Gabe? You out here?" Gabriel stepped back, his face paling. "I have to go," he said, his voice tight. "I'm sorry." Elliot watched him disappear through the trees, his chest aching. He wanted to hate Gabriel for pulling him into this mess. But he couldn't, because deep down he knew he was already in too deep. Elliot couldn't eat. The diner's pancakes sat untouched, steam rising from the plate as he stared at Gabriel across the booth. They'd slipped away from the inn that evening, claiming they needed coffee, but the truth was they needed space. Space to breathe, to talk, to figure out what the hell they were doing. "You can't keep avoiding this," Elliot said, his voice low. "You're married now, Gabriel, to my best friend. And you're sitting here, looking at me like what?" Gabriel's eyes burned with intensity. "Like I'm drowning? Because I am. I've been drowning my whole life, and you're the first person who's made me want to swim." Elliot's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, to tell Gabriel to stop saying things that made his heart race. But he couldn't. Instead, he leaned forward, his voice barely a whisper. "You think this is easy for me? I've spent years hiding, Gabriel. I came out at 19, lost half my family, and clawed my way through a world that doesn't always want me. And now you're asking me to what? Be your secret." Gabriel flinched, but he didn't look away. "I don't know what I'm asking. I just know I can't stop feeling this. I've tried. God, I've tried." Elliot wanted to hate him, to walk away and protect his heart. But the rawness in Gabriel's voice, the way his hands shook as he gripped his coffee mug, it was too real. Elliot reached across the table, his fingers brushing Gabriel's, and the contact sent a shiver through him. "What happens if Clara finds out?" he asked. "What happens to her?" Gabriel's face crumpled. "I don't want to hurt her. She's everything good in my life. But I'm not good for her. Not like this. I'm lying to her every day." Elliot pulled his hand back, the weight of Gabriel's words sinking in. He thought of Clara, her laugh, her kindness, the way she'd been there for him when he came out, when his parents stopped calling. She didn't deserve this. But neither did Gabriel, trapped in a life that wasn't his. And neither did Elliot, caught in the middle of a storm he hadn't asked for. They left the diner in silence, walking down the quiet street. The air was cold, the stars sharp above them. Gabriel stopped suddenly, turning to Elliot. "If I could go back, I'd do it differently. I'd be brave. Like you." Elliot's throat burned. "I'm not brave. I'm terrified. I've been in love before, and it broke me. I can't do that again." Gabriel stepped closer, his breath visible in the cold. "I'm not asking you to love me. I'm just asking you to not walk away. Not yet." Elliot's resolve cracked. He reached out, cupping Gabriel's face, feeling the stubble under his fingers. For a moment, they stood there, the world fading away. Then Elliot pulled back, shaking his head. "We can't do this. Not here. Not now." Gabriel nodded, his eyes wet. "I know, but I don't know how to stop wanting you." They walked back to the inn separately, the distance between them heavy with everything unsaid. Elliot lay awake that night, torn between his loyalty to Clara and the pull of something he'd never felt before. He knew he should leave, but he couldn't. Not yet. Elliot stood by the lake, the water lapping at the dock as the sun bled into the horizon. He'd told Gabriel to meet him here, away from the inn, away from Clara, away from the world that was suffocating them both. He didn't know what he'd say, only that he couldn't keep running from this. Gabriel arrived, his face pale but resolute. "You're leaving, aren't you?" he asked, his voice breaking. Elliot shook his head. "I should. God, I should. But I can't. Not without knowing what this is." He stepped closer, his hands trembling. "I've spent my life being careful, Gabriel. Hiding, protecting myself. But you make me want to be reckless." Gabriel's eyes widened, and he reached for Elliot's hand, their fingers interlocking. "I'm scared," he admitted. "I've never done this. I've never let myself feel this." Elliot's heart ached. He thought of Clara, of the pain this would cause her, but he couldn't deny the truth anymore. "We're going to hurt her," he said. "But we're hurting ourselves too, and I'm tired of it." Gabriel nodded, tears in his eyes. "I love her, Elliot, but I'm in love with you, and I can't keep lying to myself." The words hit Elliot like a wave, and before he could think, he pulled Gabriel close, their lips meeting in a kiss that was desperate, raw, and full of everything they'd been holding back. The world fell away, the lake, the sunset, the weight of their choices, until it was just them, two men daring to be honest for the first time. When they pulled apart, Elliot's voice was steady. "We have to tell her. She deserves the truth." Gabriel nodded, his face a mix of fear and relief. "I know, but I don't know how." They sat on the dock, hands still entwined, and made a plan. They'd talk to Clara together, explain everything, and face the consequences. It wouldn't be easy. Clara would be devastated, and Elliot's friendship with her might never recover. But they couldn't keep living in shadows. As they walked back to the inn, Elliot felt a strange calm. For the first time in years, he wasn't hiding. He was choosing himself, choosing Gabriel, choosing truth. And no matter what came next, that felt like enough. Clara sat across from them in the inn's living room, her face pale, her eyes red from crying. Elliot and Gabriel had told her everything. Their feelings, their kiss, the truth Gabriel had hidden for years. The words had spilled out, clumsy and painful, but honest. Clara listened in silence, her hands clenched in her lap, until they finished. "I need time," she said finally, her voice steady despite the tears. "I love you, Gabe, and I love you, Elliot. But this hurts." Elliot's heart broke at her words, but he nodded. "I'm so sorry, Clara. I never wanted to hurt you." Gabriel reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "I need to figure out who I am without you," she said. "Both of you." She stood, grabbing her coat, and left the room without looking back. The days that followed were a blur. Clara returned to Seattle, filing for an annulment. Gabriel moved out, staying with a friend in Burlington while he figured out his next steps. Elliot drove back to Boston, his heart heavy but strangely free. He and Gabriel texted constantly, their conversations a lifeline through the guilt and uncertainty. Weeks later, they met again in a small cafe in Boston. Gabriel looked different, lighter, like a weight had lifted. "I told my family," he said, a small smile on his face. "They didn't take it well, but I'm done hiding." Elliot reached for his hand, squeezing it. "I'm proud of you," he said, "and I'm here, for whatever comes next." They didn't have all the answers. Clara was still healing, and their friendship might never be the same. But as they sat there, hands entwined, Elliot felt something he hadn't in years. Hope. They'd chosen truth, chosen each other, and that was a start. The world wasn't perfect. It never would be. But in that moment, With Gabriel's hand in his, Elliot knew they'd find a way to build something real, something worth fighting for. And that was enough.